Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're gonna be discussing about a very interesting topic that you guys have requested millions and millions of time in my comment section. So today here I am and I'm gonna discuss about the topic that you guys have requested, transgender athlete. So what caused all of this commotion about transgender athlete issue? Like for decades now, transgender athletes have been getting into tournaments. They're trying to get in, or they're already in the tournament. But the thing is, not many of them have been trying to go into the tournament because there's so many negative comments and negative protests. Like there are protests about these people, like transgender athletes. So they are like they are very like refrained, and they suffer from the hateful comments that normal people or cisgender have been giving them. I wanted to give you guys an example of what transgender athletes are like in the past and what they're like now. So I'll give you two examples of those athletes. One of them is from the 21st century and the other is from the 20th century. So the 20th century athlete is Renee Richards, and the 21st century athlete, which is now, is Fallon Fox. For our 20th century transgender athlete, Renee Richards, she was born in 1934 as Richard Raskin. She was the son of a surgeon and a psychiatrist. Before she turned into a woman, she was already a really great athlete, and still at that time she was fighting between male and female selves that lasted a couple of decades before she finally decided to undergo gender reassignment surgery in 1975. It wasn't until her tournament in California under her third name Renee Clark that controversy started to happen. And then after weeks and weeks of commotion, the US Open introduced a new chromosome screening procedure to keep her out. After knowing this, Richard then sued the United States Tennis Association, which runs the US Open, in New York State Court, alleging discrimination by gender in violation of the New York human rights law. She asserted that participating in the tournament would constitute an acceptance of her right to be a woman. After some time and discussion, Richard finally agreed to take the bar body test, and the test results were ambiguous. She refused to take it again and was barred from playing. But finally, on August 16, 1977, Judge Alfred M. Ashon found in Richard's favor. He ruled that this person is now female. After this, Richard was finally allowed to play in the US Open. Richard lost to Virginia Wade in the first round of singles competition, but made it to the final in doubles. The thing is, I raised this example of Renee Richards because she was a really remarkable person, and she have impacted many transgender athletes to come out of the shadows, because by suing the USTA and getting in the US Open, she established a precedent that has been used to fight discrimination ever since. No one is more important in the movement for acceptance. She also stated clearly that in the eyes of the law, I am female. Fallon Fox was born in November 29, 1975. She is an American MMA or mixed martial arts fighter, and she is the first openly transgender athlete in the MMA history. Fallon Fox came out publicly on March 5th of 2013 in an interview with Outsport with Cy Ziegler and Sport Illustrated after her two initial professional fights. Although time has passed, negativity against transgender athletes is still there, and they are as mean as ever. For example, like on 8 April 2013, Matt Mitron, in an appearance on the MMA Hour, said that Fox was still a man, and calling Fox an embarrassment and a lying, sick, sociopathic, disgusting freak. The next day, Fox issued a response stating that Mitron personally attacked me as a fighter, as a woman, and as a human being. And so the UFC suspended Mitron and fined him an undisclosed amount of money. If we're talking about how people are reacting to the athlete, I don't think there's any progress at all. And people are still discriminating and they're not accepting transgender athlete at all. People are still very negative about transgender athlete. They still think that it's not fair for transgender athlete to compete with them. But if we're talking about progress on transgender athlete or transgender people, I think that transgender have been really coping well with all of these hateful comments. In an interview when Fox, our 21st century athlete, was asked if all of this negative attention has impacted her, she stated that it used to bother me a lot, and I think it had an effect of tempering my ability in the cage. People call you fucking faggot or making transphobic comments like kick him in the nuts. It was sucking the love of sport out of me. But it took me a year to understand and feel the support from the transgender community. Because heck, they're scared. Some of them support me, but they're scared of showing up at fights because of this. But I did have a fight where people came to support me, and that's all I needed. I needed to know for certain that I had someone I was fighting for beside of myself. So finally, we're at the last part of the video, and I'm gonna tell you about what I think. What is my solution? I believe that transgender athletes should be accepted into sports. They shouldn't be discriminated at. They should be supported and congratulated for being true to themselves and for being this strong and for staying strong for so many years. Even though some will claim that transgender athletes are originally male born or with a male body or they're stronger than most female, I think that this idea is just an excuse for someone who's weaker than another person. If you guys have watched the movie 42, you might know about this. In that movie, there was a commenter that said Jackie Robinson had an unfair advantage because black people had larger heel bones than white men that was competing with Jackie. Guys, this is like what I'm talking about. It's all just an excuse for weaker people to claim that the other is like this and like that, and to think that the other is abnormal. No, I don't think so. I think that they're born to be what they are, and if you wanna win, you should train for it and shouldn't just blame and raise discussion because of it. It's just really ridiculous. I think that people is just using their ignorance of biology and their hatred for a particular group and mushing that all together in one big ball and making a discussion in which they think that they are right. Trans women have been allowed to compete in the Olympics since 2003, and no trans woman has won a medal of any kind that we know of. So why is this happening? If people really think that trans women is that great, then trans should have won a medal by now in the Olympic. But the thing is, they didn't win any of it. So maybe because it takes incredible work and dedication to be a world champion athlete. And I think that it's not just something that anyone can do, and don't expect that trans women are suddenly going to start dominating all sport all of a sudden just because what you're thinking. We should expect that the best athletes are going to be physiologically unusual compared to normal people. If we start excluding intersex and trans athletes, will that really be fair? Don't trans intersex people have a right to compete in sport? Why should sport only be reserved for people with a normal body? Why? Why should that be like that? I mean, if someone's supposed to be the best athlete ever, we can't expect them to be like normal, to be like everyone. Sport is made up of competitors who, by definition, have an advantages of all kind of genetic reasons. That's what sport is about, and that's why there's winning and there's losing. And the important thing is the practice of sport is human rights, so it's a right that we all have regardless of our gender or our sex. And not just anyone can just like take it away from us.